Hi, I'm Leslie Levy of Innerji and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I'm going to be doing a reading. It's going to be a new approach that I'm taking where I combine astrology with tarot and also with tea charms. And what's really interesting about this week is that this Sunday, the 21st of June 2020, is a trifecta of celestial events. At 4:41 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, it is going to be the exact time of the new moon in Cancer. We also have the winter solstice that day, and we also have a solar eclipse, and it's an annular solar eclipse, and I'll explain what that is in a moment. But three major celestial events happening. Now, if you live outside of Australia in a different time zone, you can go onto the internet and do a time conversion if you want to check the exact time of the new moon for your location where you live. So what's an annular solar eclipse? Basically, it's an eclipse where the moon becomes between the earth and the sun, and the moon is centered so that it appears to have a ring of fire around it, so it's not completely blacked out. So that's an annular solar eclipse. Now the moon, the new moons are about new beginnings, and we have a new moon in Cancer. So when we think about Cancer, we think about family, home, emotions. We think about our past. Sometimes our past can come back into the present for us to deal with something that perhaps maybe not resolved. It can also be about a little bit of memorabilia as well, emotional memorabilia. So we're going to look at the new moon in Cancer in more detail as well. And of course, it's the winter solstice here in the Southern Hemisphere. And the winter solstice is traditionally a time where we go inward, where we take some time for reflection and we rest. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's the summer solstice. So this is a time now for opening up and getting out there. So let's do the reading and see where it leads us. So I'm just going to share my screen with you so that you can see my reading table. What I'm going to be doing is looking at each of the 7 planets, what sign they're in. So I do classical astrology, so I look at the 7 traditional planets, and then I will lay out some cards and we will see what the reading says. So here we go, let's share the screen. So there it is, there's my table set up. So what we have here is we have the sun, we have the moon, and this is representative of a new moon. We have Mercury, we have Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. So they're the 7 planets that we'll be working with today. And I'm just going to move my small screen so that you can actually see the cards. We also have 2 cards here. This one is representing information around the winter solstice for the Southern Hemisphere, and this one is representing information around the summer solstice for the Northern Hemisphere. So I'm just going to start shuffling the cards. Now, with the moon in Cancer, as I said before, we're looking at family. We're looking at the home. We're looking at emotions. So that's going to be the area of life that this reading will focus on. And of course, it's about new beginnings as well. So we're just shuffling just to get the energy in there, just to see where we're at. Now, at the moment, as I said, moon is in Cancer, and the sun and also Mercury are both in Cancer, the sign of Cancer as well. So we've got 3 planets involved in that area around family and home emotions. When it comes to Mercury, Mercury is located in the sign of Gemini. So Gemini is about how we learn, how we think, very curious, lots of curiosity, likes to investigate things, is very, very quick in their thinking. And then we have Mars in Pisces. So Pisces is, a lot of people think of Pisces as the intuitive sign. I also think of it as a sign of no boundaries. It can also be a sign where we have a tendency to be a little bit self-sacrificing, and sometimes that's a good thing, and other times it can go into a little bit of martyrdom. And then we have Jupiter in Capricorn. So Capricorn is about structure, it's about solid, it's about the practical things that we do in life. So we have Jupiter in there. And then we have Saturn in Aquarius. And Aquarius is about groups, friendships. It's about a little bit more distance, and it's also a little bit about being innovative to the point of being rebellious. And so we have Saturn in there. Now Saturn actually rules Aquarius, so that means it's in its home place, and so that means that the energies of Saturn, which are about responsibility, duty, restriction, are going to be very, very strong in this reading, as is the moon in Cancer, because the moon is at home in Cancer. So again, a lot of strong emotions. So these are two very strong planets that will be showing up in this reading. So let's lay out the cards and see what we have. So we're just going to lay out a card below each planet. And we'll just see what is revealed. So let's start here. So with the sun in Cancer is not at its strongest energy. So the sun here, and also the fact that it is a solar eclipse, the moon is eclipsing the sun. So the moon in this case is a lot stronger than the sun. And so this is bringing about a sense of having to feel guarded about oneself. This is giving a sense with this Nine of Wands of you know, it's been a hard month for you, and there's a sense here that you're a bit worn out, that you can't quite let down your guard yet. And with the sun being a little bit weak in this particular sign of Cancer, it does make sense that you're a bit worn out and don't have a lot of energy. Moon in Cancer. We have the Five of Swords. Now this is somebody who looks like they've won a battle, and others have gone away feeling a bit worse for wear. And what this is telling me is that really don't let your emotions override your sense of what is right, what you need to do. There is a sense of being emotionally overwhelmed, and really you think you're being logical, but you're not. You're being ruled by your emotions at the moment, and you're feeling kind of good that you've perhaps maybe won a little bit of a battle recently. And I'm referring, this is within the family or with people that you consider to be family, or within the home. So I'm seeing here that with this moon in Cancer, you are feeling quite powerful emotionally, and you feel that it is coming through good logic, but unfortunately it's more of an emotional, instinctual response rather than a thought out response. So let's move on now to the third card. And here we've got the Queen of Wands reversed. And what we're looking at here is the planet Mercury. Now, the planet Mercury is also in Cancer. And the Queen of Wands reversed is saying to me that you know, you're not feeling quite as strong or have such strong energies as you may believe in card 5. And things are certainly very emotional when it comes to communications. And these are communications that unfortunately are not clear and direct at the moment. So let's move on here and see what we've got here. We've got the Six of Pentacles. So when we're looking here, we're looking at the planet Venus in the star sign Gemini. So what this is telling me is in regard to your closer relationships, and I'm talking about a significant other here. It could be a romantic significant other, or someone that you're really, really close to and are bonded to. Being in Gemini, and with the Six of Pentacles, this is saying to me that you're going to be quick to respond to these people, to this person. You're going to be quick to react. And what I'm liking about this card is, even though you're not thinking completely logically at the moment, you know, your energy's been a bit low, you feel that you're on guard, with the person closest to you, you are still being very giving with them, but you're doing it in a way that's very grounded, because Pentacles are about earth energy, practical energy. So you are giving practical assistance in regard to someone who is significant to you. If we move on here, we've got the Seven of Wands reverse. Now we've got Mars in Pisces. Mars is not a very strong planet in Pisces. Mars is normally an aggressive, direct, assertive planet. I mean, Mars, the god of war. But sitting in Pisces, its energy is somewhat diminished because Pisces is very soft. Pisces is a water element, so it's flowing and soft. And Pisces knows no boundaries. So with the Seven of Wands here, what this is saying to me is you don't need to defend yourself over the next few days. You don't have to stand guard. You don't have to defend yourself. You can soften things down a little bit. It's okay to do that. We're going to move on now to the next card, and we have the King of Wands, and here we have Jupiter in Capricorn. Now Capricorn is about leadership, it's about structure, it's about bigger picture, it's about strategy. And so what I'm seeing here is someone with Jupiter being a planet of expansion. I'm seeing someone who really needs to get their structure together, master the structure in their lives, especially over the next 2 to 3 days in this new moon phase. And so what this is saying to me, that it is time to really reach out in a very structured, practical way. And we've got a fire card here. Wands are a fire element, a fire energy. So you are ready to go, you are ready to move, but do it from a place where you're not feeling that you're having to defend yourself. So important. Let's move on to the next card. And we have the Three of Wands reversed, and we also have Saturn in Aquarius. So this is someone who's not prepared to wait. When we see this card upright, this is a fellow, we've got little ships in the distance. I'll actually bring this up a little closer so you can see. Let me see if I can get it in front of the camera for you. There you go. So as you can see, you might see little dots there, but they're actually ships, and he's waiting for his ships to come in. But because it's reversed, this is saying to me you're being impatient, you're not waiting. And with Saturn in Aquarius, you really are looking at innovation, you are looking at a new way of doing things, and you don't like any form of restriction, you don't want to wait. So there is a sense of frustration here at the moment. So let's have a look at these all combined together and see what we can glean. So the main thrust and energy of today's reading, with Moon in Cancer being a new moon, it's new beginnings around family, home, people who are close to you, or letting go of the past is my feeling in this case. And so what we've got here is someone with their Sun in Cancer. Around the family, you've been feeling that you've been having to defend yourself a little bit, and you're a bit worn out from that. And that's because you have gone in with an attitude of I'm in charge, I can win this. And it's been a bit of a shock to look back and see that that hasn't happened. So what I'm getting from this is there are going to be some family issues. I don't see anything major, but I do see the fact that things haven't been as smooth in the family as perhaps you would have liked, or perhaps that you thought things were going your way. When we look at the Queen of Wands, adding that onto the picture, you have lost some of your energy, some of your self-mastery that you have built up previously during this issue that you've had with your family. As we move through, we've got one significant other, the person that you're closest to. And whilst you've had issues with family, this one person, you've been going along really well with them. Let's have a look over here now and see what else we can glean. I'm feeling that being aggressive or being assertive is not the way to get what you want with this situation over here with your family. You need to take a little bit more relaxed approach. Yes, you're ready to act, you're ready to put the energy in there, but really is important to sit down and be ready to act, but not to jump up too soon. You need to think things through. You need to not allow this high emotional energy that's part of Moon in Cancer at the moment to get in the way. And it is about being a little more patient in regard to what it is that you want to begin with this new moon. in a very practical, structured way. You know, a lot of times we see Saturn as the bad guy because he's restricting, he's constraining, almost imprisoning. But there are times when restraint is really, really appropriate. And when it comes to family issues for you, particularly over the next 2 to 3 days, I see that it is important for you not to just emotionally jump in and react. It is to step back in terms of your power. It is to be able to significantly communicate in a practical, balanced way, not feeling that you have to defend yourself. If you come from a defensive stance, that usually will set off a defensive reaction in others. Instead, you need to have a strategy in place that overtakes the emotional, instinctive reaction, and it is about waiting. It is about giving things a little bit of time. So that's what I'm seeing there. So let's move on and draw a card for winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere and see how that relates to the reading. So I'm just shuffling the cards. Here we go. And let's see what we have here. So if you live in the Southern Hemisphere, we have the winter solstice and we have the Three of Swords reversed. Now, what this is telling me is that this really is a time for reflection. It is a time to look back at previous emotional hurts and find a resolution to them. I find either an acceptance or a letting go or a cutting away of past hurts that no longer serve you, and not keep holding on to them and recycling them, because this can bring you a new beginning. If you open this up, if you let this go, this creates space for a new beginning. And since we have Moon in Cancer, the emotional side of things, it's kind of appropriate that this card has come up for the winter solstice, of going deeply within, looking at what's in your heart, looking at where the hurts have been, and what can you forgive of yourself? What can you forgive of others? It doesn't mean you have to go out and say to someone, I forgive you, but having that internal forgiveness so that you can move on to something new over these next 2 to 3 days when it comes to your family and your emotional well-being. Now let's have a pick of a card for those of you living in the Northern Hemisphere, where we are celebrating the summer solstice. And of course, the summer is the time of freedom, movement, warmth, sunshine. So let's see how that affects you. So we've got Queen of Pentacles reversed. So what this is saying to me for the summer solstice is that you have done a lot of nurturing. You have been nurturing, you have planted the seeds, you have watched them grow, and it's not quite done yet. It's just not quite done yet. Now is not really the time to sit back and relax. You still have a little bit of work to do before you can turn this card around, make it upright, and reap the rewards. So for the summer solstice, when it comes to Moon in Cancer, we're looking again at emotions, family. There's still a little bit of work there to do, but it is coming from a very nurturing space, which is really lovely. So you've got a solid foundation there. What else can we see? Let's draw a couple of tea charms and see what we can glean from those as well around this special time where we have the new moon in Cancer. We have the annular solar eclipse where the sun is hidden. Not completely, there is that little ring of fire around it. And of course we've got the winter and summer solstices depending on whether you are in the southern or northern hemispheres. So I'm just going to do one for each card to start with. So these are tea charms. They represent the common symbols that you would see if you were doing a tea leaf reading. And because not everybody likes a cup of tea, these are a terrific way of doing tea leaf readings without the tea. So what we've got here is you've been feeling guarded, you've been feeling weak, and that's over an issue with a female member of your family. That's what I'm seeing there. There's been a little bit of tension, a little bit of emotional tension with a female member of your family. We've got the feather here, and it really is saying lighten up. Lighten up. Emotions have been running deep. We've got still water behind in the card. Emotions have been running deep, but you have been putting on a face of being very, very logical, being very, very air, but that's really not the true face. Things are very emotional for you. We've got the baby's rattle. And so what this is saying to me with the Queen of Wands is it isn't time to rattle. It isn't time to shake the rattle. It is time just to calm down, slow down, and allow things to take their course. With your significant other, we've got the Star. So this one other person in your family that you're closest to, things are going well with that person. So I don't see this female over here as being related to this issue or with this person. This is a different family member. Here we've got the snake. So snakes shed their skin to renew themselves. And so what this is saying is stop defending yourself. Take a new approach in how you assert yourself out in the wider field with your family. Then here we've got the spider. Oh, what a deadly web we weave sometimes. But we've got Capricorn here, and what this is saying is don't get too tangled up. Stay with good, solid, simple structure. Don't overcomplicate things when it comes to taking action with your family. We have here the tortoise or the turtle. The tortoise, again, reaffirming this card. It's time to wait. Don't rush in. It's time to take things a little bit more slowly. Allow things to come in their own time when dealing with your family over the next few days. When we come down to the winter solstice, I'll just turn this over, we've got the swan. And what this is saying, that even though on the surface everybody thinks everything's going swimmingly with you, because swans just seem to glide on the surface with no effort, it really is time to let go of that mask and dive deep within yourself and really, it's almost facing your shadow self in a certain way as part of this new moon. And it's interesting because we've got a new moon, and with that solar eclipse, with the sun blocked out, we are going into the shadow as well. And just taking those few days in the shadow is going to allow new things to come in. Here we've got the tea bags. So tea bags represent socializing, representing having, talking about life over a cuppa. And so in terms of the summer solstice for people in the Northern Hemisphere, it is obviously, depending on the restrictions with the pandemic where you live, it is time to really start talking to people again, socializing a little bit more. And that will help bring to fruition issues that have not yet been resolved. Well, I certainly hope the reading has been helpful for you. And if you would like to subscribe to my channel, just press the subscribe button below, and that way you'll receive notifications for future readings. Until next time, namaste.